How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We got another Dokkan Battle video for you here today. We have the EZA LR EZA Metal Cooler, the 2022 Worldwide LR. And in this video, we have our complete unit guide. We'll be overviewing this unit's kit, talk about their links, best links to maximize, as well as best partners that help him maximize those links. And then, of course, we will take a look at their stats and calcs and give you a few suggested teams before we hop in to a showcase. So let's go ahead and let's get started by taking a look at the unit. So he now, upon his passive, has 15% HP recovery at the start of each turn, gets 5 key and attack defense 250%, chance of performing a critical hit and damage reduction rate 50%, and chance of performing a critical hit and damage reduction rate 30% once only. He launches an additional attack that has a 70% chance to become a super attack, and when HP is 80% or less, he recovers 10 HP. When attacking for the first time, so his first attack within the turn, the more HP remaining, the greater his attack boost within the turn, up to 200%. The more HP remaining, the greater the defense boost within the turn when receiving an attack for the first time. After receiving an attack, he gains an additional attack defense 100%, key 4, and that's a permanent increase, and recovers 10 HP at the start of the 10% HP at the start of the at the end of the next turn. When receiving an unarmed super attack, he has a 70% chance to nullify it and a guaranteed nullification after his revive has been activated. When activating his active skill, he gets an additional 350% attack temporarily, as well as an additional 200% and 100% defense when his revival skill has been activated, along with guard. He has an additional damage reduction rate 15% before attacking, starting on his next attacking turn after the revive. So, very, very helpful here. Got a lot going on. It makes him insanely defensive and pretty decently offensive, too. Looking at his stacks here, for his super attack, he's massively raising his attack for 1 turn and greatly raising defense while massively lowering enemies' defense. On his 12 key, he's raising attack and greatly raising defense for the turn while greatly lowering enemies' attack. Very, very useful tech there. Of course, he does have his revive and his active skill. His active skill can be activated from the 5th turn from the start of battle, after he receives 7 attacks, or after his revival skill has been activated. It greatly raises his attack temporarily, causes ultimate damage, and recovers 30% HP. All very, very good things going on here with this character, and he's going to want to be on certain teams to maximize that. So why don't we go ahead and actually take a look at his calcs here so you can kind of see what we're talking about. Okay, so if we take a look at his stats here on this our unit guide that we put together for you guys, you can see that, you know, when we look at all of his percentage buffs, right, there's actually a lot going on here. So what you're seeing here is mostly pre-revive, and we'll talk about what he's going to look like post-revive here in a second. But, right, so he's getting, you know, 444% from his lead on both his attack and defense, right? First passive, he's going to get up to 450%. Second passive's up to 100% pre-revive. Now that's going to change after his revive. Link skills, we're going to give him 75% attack, 25% defense if activated, along with 5% damage reduction, mind you, if he's linked with Metal Cooler. And then we are going to factor Turles's domain for this, and that'll also be applicable post-revive as well. Key multipliers, 200%, right, for 24 key. We're assuming we're getting the 24 key. And then, right, he does stack 30% on that, or 50% rather, on that defensive stack. So, because he can get multiple 12 keys, right? So with that in mind, right, final attack stat's going to come out right on before his revive is going to be somewhere around 79 million, possibly up to 100, depending on support and critical hits, right? If you don't hit crit, you're going to be dealing probably around, you know, 70 to 80 million, which is not bad. Now, your defense status pre-revive it post double super, we're going to assume he achieves a double super, is going to be around 5.6 million after his first appearance. So you get that first, you get that initial build up for getting hit, right? And then he's going to start, if he procs his additional super, and we're assuming the equips that he has, like I based this equips off of, right, that you used his worldwide equips, which are the ones you see here. And so that puts him around 5.6 million. Now, all of that changes when he revives and he gets that additional 200% and that additional 100%. The additional 200% bumps his damage up to 100 mil, right, for his attack stat. Crit is going to be looking somewhere closer to around 128 mil for his attack. So pretty impressive, right? And he's going to do that every single time post revive, and that's the nice thing, right? His damage isn't going to fall off. That's pretty much what he's going to do every single time from then on. Defense actually takes a major jump with getting 8.1 million defense post double super, post revive. It's actually kind of insane what he's capable of there. So really powerful unit. If you want to talk about just real off the cuff, if you've seen, I'll link it in the description, but if you've seen my hidden potential guide, definitely recommend going fully into the additionals. So with that, let's head on over to the Dokkan FYI and take a look at his links and partners. So as we talked about in our other videos about this guy, he wants to maximize his attack because that's basically all of his links. All of his links are essentially attack links, right? Big Bad Bosses, Fierce Battle, Legendary Power, Nightmare, Strongest Clan in Space, and Thirst for Conquest and Auto Regeneration. All great links that can easily be activated. If we prioritize his attack links, right, he's getting 25, 20, so 45 right there, 15, 60, 75 with Nightmare, and Thirst for Conquest, he's getting another 15, so 90 percent there, so pretty good. And then of course, right, with auto regeneration, which he can get via Tech Metal Cooler, he's going to get an additional 5% damage reduction. So speaking of Tech Metal Cooler, right, when we look at his best link partners, that's basically what you're working with, right? Tech Metal Cooler is going to be one of his best linking partner, missing only legendary powers. That's a 15% miss, but that can be easily mitigated by having Tech Metal Cooler in slot 1. That can easily be mitigated by having, you know, an LR in slot 3 with Tech Metal Cooler in slot 1. Like, no issues there. He also links pretty well with the STR LR EZA Cooler, which is great because, to be completely honest, right, this dude post revive can slot 1 it for you. You saw that defense with the guard and damage reduction that he has. He could easily slot 1 most attacks for you. So you know, you could easily set up a rotation with him and the cooler here as partners, right? Looking at his 4 links, you know, pretty standard stuff for Terrifying Conquerors. You have Selmax, you know, Turles, the Fizz cooler, Goma, Baby, Golden Frieza, right? Like he's linking with a lot of major staples on a lot of villains teams, so you don't have too many issues there with that. Even with his 3 link partners, right? You still have the King Cold, Turles, Bobbity, Garlic Jr., right? These are all characters you're going to see on teams with him. Heck, even on Omega's team, right? He's got 3 links with Omega, and he does link pretty well, or he does synergize pretty well on Omega's team with that power absorption lead. So honestly, not bad at all. Okay, so lastly, let's take a look at those teams now. So I set up a few different teams for you. You'll notice a lot of similarities between these teams, the previous Metal Cooler teams and the Cell Max teams. We got about 8 teams here we set up for you guys, right? So, all right, one of our teams here has a double Cell Max lead. If we want to just take a look at this here, right, with a double Cell Max lead, you've got basically a rotation here with him and a cooler, and with a floating Golden Frieza, because this assumes you don't have Tech Metal Cooler, right? If you do have Tech Metal Cooler, then swap this guy out for cooler. But I would probably do something like this, and then something like this on the rotation. I wouldn't put both of these on a single rotation. like that, or you could even do something like this. But I definitely would not try. I would probably put something more like this and this, just because it just makes your rotations a little bit better. Sorry, right? A little bit safer, a little bit stronger, and it spreads the damage amongst the turns instead of having one major rotation. So that's just one team, right? Obviously his best team you're going to want to run him on is going to look a little something like, where is it here? It's going to look a little something like this, right? Obviously, you can switch partners in and out, right? You can swap this guy for Goma. You could swap this guy for King Cold, for example. Where's King Cold at, right? You can swap this guy for King Cold. You can swap... Actually, honestly, I would leave Lud. And then you could probably maybe another floater, even Fizz... where is he at? Even Fizz Cooler or Deborah also work really well. It's kind of hard to justify Goma being on this team unless you want to drop SDR Cooler, which, I mean, isn't a bad thing, right? You could drop SDR Cooler, keep one rotation, Metal Cooler, and Goma, and then another rotation that. You could also float a Metal Cooler and do something like this, and then that would work pretty well as well. I would do probably something like that for the setup here, and that could work really, really well too. So just some variations on a theme. Obviously, they do rely on you having Metal Cooler. If you don't have Metal Cooler, that does kind of suck. However, if you do have things like Deborah, you can run something like this, right? With Deborah and Goma on a rotation, Cooler and Cooler on a rotation, the other Deborah and Bobbity floating, along with this guy floating, so you can get that domain active later in the fight. Okay, double Goma is also a possibility for this team, right? Having one rotation Goma and Cooler, the other Goma and Cooler, and then floating these three terrifying Conquerors characters. Wouldn't really recommend mixing any of the superclass demonic power characters. I think if you want the team to synergize well, you're going to want to stick on the extreme side for everyone. And the last team we have here for the setup looks a little something like this. Some modified variation of that Golden Frieza and Cell team. And I think it works pretty well too, right? You basically have one extreme rotation, one super rotation, and, one rotation covers Cooler and Cooler, the other rotation, the two Gohans, Golden Frieza and Gogeta floating, and this can be a flex option, any floating support, though it does need to be a super class. That way you can activate both the actives for these guys. So just something to be aware of. So those are our teams. And with that, let's go ahead and let's jump on into the showcase. All right, so we are loaded in here in the God Goku fight with the Metal Cooler setup. We're going to run double Metal Cooler here, and we're going to try to keep him on rotation. We do get Goma here in slot 3, so we're going to float him off. But as you can see here, 400k started turn. That does kind of line up with what we expect to see for him, and he doesn't have any support yet, and not until Cooler starts getting hit. We can get the 18 key here, which is nice. And as you can see, his revive is procced here. So that means at any given point, he can revive. What you're going to notice is unless we specifically force it, it's going to be really hard to get. He just doesn't want to take damage here. Excellent. Okay. All right, and we get the dodge on the Tech Metal Cooler. So all of those hits in are buffing up our Fizz Metal Cooler. 34 million, about what we, a little bit less than what we expect. Again, we only got the 18 key, no 24 keys, so no extra multiplier there. There we go. But again, most of his, we also didn't get hit first, mind you. We also didn't get hit first. But now, next turn, we're going to see a pretty big jump in his offense. There we go. Right, especially once all that Cooler support starts rolling in, right? When we get the other Cooler to get some hits and start getting that support in. We also did bring Fizz Turles for this setup for that extra 18%. It's not a lot, but I mean, any extra juice we can get, we'll take. So I think I'll run this setup here. So we'll grab that STR orb. We'll grab that with the Turles, and then we'll float the King Cold. There we go. Excellent, we get a dodge. All right, so again, all of these hits are building up that that other metal cooler. Now, honestly, if we could have gotten a tech orb, I probably would have went for a tech orb, just because that would have lowered Goku's attack. Not that it would have been a problem for metal cooler, but possibly if King Cold missed the dodge here. But I guess it's not really that big of a deal. There we go. Knowing that Turles is safe, it probably was okay to go with the SDR orb. There we go. There we go, and 52 million on him. So we got a little bit of a setup here, and so the goal is to get to the end of the fight with as much support up as we can get, and attack Turles' domain. That's what we're going to try to go for here. Excellent. Alrighty, and then King Cold dropping that 45 mil attack stat. This guy does not get enough credit for being as strong as he is for a banner unit. Excellent. Alrighty, so we're gonna float the Tech Turles. Okay, 1.2 million. We're okay. So we haven't gotten that that's our start of turn, mind you. So we haven't gotten that we haven't gotten that extra defense that we'll get when we get hit, right? There we go. And so now it's up to that 2 million number that we talked about earlier. Here we go. And best thing I love about this is we can we can nullify his supers. That's so much fun. There we go. 64 million, right? So a near 200% jump there, which I mean, that's what we expected. There we go. No crits though. Mine is built fully defensively. I used his defensive equips, the worldwide equips. If I ever get some God equip offenses, I might give it to him. But honestly, I kind of like him for what he is. There are other units on his team meant to deal damage. Cooler. And we'll just keep going here. Something stuck in my throat there. Excellent. Okay. So last couple of hits in on the Tech Metal Cooler, and that should do the trick. We should be fully built up with him. There we go. There it is. All right, so he is fully built up. We did actually get the 24 key on Tech Turles, which is nice. Yeah. Sometimes that is hard to get. And it does look like he's going to take him out. We're going to have to play this a little bit tricky. We're going to have to survive a turn in the other phase. And then force the revive into the next phase. So, or into the well, I guess it is kind of the next phase, right? This is basically when he doesn't have his damage reduction anymore. Goku, that is. So, oh, actually, we got a really decent setup here. Because Goma, I mean, he's barely been touched at all, so we could easily throw him in the middle there. Right? Or not in the middle, but rather in front. Right? Because we could potentially die. Well, I mean, we can grab the AGL orb with Tech Cooler. Okay, I think Goma's safer because he's not been touched at all. So he has the potential to just live all the way through all of those attacks. So that might be the option here. Let's see. I'm thinking, I don't know. There is a lot of attacks, so Goma could potentially just drop the bucket and miss everything. And then we could start taking damage from the crit normals. That's a very distinct possibility. Or we just, I don't know. It's a little scary. It's a little, scary. All right, let's do the active skill for Cooler first off. All right, let's just roll with Goma. I think that is the play here. All right, let's take the extra offense, and then we'll take this with Turles. Because Turles, if we do end up taking any damage, Turles can heal us up at the end. We do get the dodge. We do not dodge the second one. So that's one of our damage reduction turns gone. All right, not bad though, 59 million. We had to float him. I don't like that we had to float him, but it's what we had to do to keep the Metal Cooler rotation together. He get, of course, Goku dodges. We do get additional super, though. And so that's an extra defense raise on us, by the way, for the team. There we go, to get the dodge. Oof, okay. Damage reduction is gone, or at least we did continue to dodge. Dang, that was rough. That was rough. Okay, but maybe we should have went with the fizz orbs, and then we could have healed up a little bit better here with Metal Cooler. Excellent. All right, look at that. We're dropping 70 mils, but no crits. All right, and then now Turles can get his attacks in. All right. So next turn, like, we're not going to do anything. We're just going to throw a Metal Cooler in slot 1, let him die to the crit super, and get that revive off. Look at that. Turles healed us up nice and good here. Love that. Yeah, that heal on super attack is really powerful. Okay. So like I said, we're just going to... All right. Yeah, we're just going to toss Metal Cooler in front here. Let's grab the extra stats from Tech Cooler, though, while we're here. There we go. Alrighty. And then... Okay, wow, look at that. All right, so now we got that 2 million start of turn. Okay. Hang on, I want to see something here. Okay. And then once we revive... Okay, we're going to get an extra 100%. A guard. That's right, I forgot about the guard. Okay. Let's grab that. Let's take that. Not that it matters. And then let's grab that. Perfect. All right. And then so now we just got to eat a hit. Nice that we're taking the normals for double digits, though. That's pretty impressive. And we don't even have the guard yet. All right. And so now we die to this super. Excellent.
With more strength than before. Put simply, you'll never defeat me.
Alrighty, and now we got the giant form for the Metal Cooler. All right, so we actually only ended up getting 2 turns to the giant form, but that's all right. I mean, the less we get, the better, because it means we can roll the next rotation. So the trick for this rotation is going to be to not deal damage, because we need to get, we want to set up the next rotation. So I'm actually going to put Goma in slot 2 here, while also activating the active skill for Turles to put that domain up. And let's see here. So let's go with the dodge for Tech Cooler. I mean, we don't have to worry about supers, so it's honestly not that big of a deal. And there we go. Let's grab that. Perfect. So all we need to do is get through this rotation and set up Cooler on the next rotation. Not the best setup, because we are missing a little bit of support from the King Cole just because of the way we had to float the rotations. But still, I think it should be a pretty good showing of Cooler here at the end. Nice. I mean, just dropping 670 mil attack stats is kind of crazy, right? 88 mil. Nice.
I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel like he did more damage than STR Cooler. Sorry. I don't know what's going on. Something in my throat today. All right, perfect. So we make it into the next rotation, and we got the second giant form. So we'll go ahead and speed through this. All right, once again, only 2 turns. Been having really bad luck lately with those giant form turns. But honestly, that does work out for us because we can actually deal some damage. So look at that. Start of turn defense, 2.6 million. That's pretty impressive. We're going to have pretty much every link activated. We've got the extra 200% attack. We've got extra 100% defense. We have guard and an extra damage reduction starting from this turn. So this is going to be a pretty impressive turn. So let's go ahead. Let's use that active skill. 65 million. Now that would have killed if it was a crit. That would have been right 9999, but unfortunately we didn't crit, which is honestly fine because now we get to stick him in slot 1 and actually attack with him. So you know what? That's fine. We are losing 15% from no legendary power, and we are losing the 50% from King Cold. So let's see. I mean, we still got a decent setup here. We're getting cooler support. We're fully built up. We're going to take an attack, and 109 million. Okay. All right, cooler color. Me impressed. And there goes. No crit, though. I have like no crit on this guy. All righty. So there it is, right? There is Fizz Metal Cooler. Really, really phenomenal EZA. Insanely defensive. Decent offense, but again, that's not really his role. His role is that revive. His role is providing that extra defense for the team. So I can forgive not having crit, unlike another LR STR EZA Cooler that for some reason cannot crit. But you know, everyone else seems to be doing pretty good here. I think he's a great addition to the Metal Cooler team. And honestly, I don't think Metal Cooler's team needs him, mind you. He's a really good addition to the team. I don't think Metal Cooler's team needs him. I think Cell Max's team needs this guy much more. But I wanted to test him out on this so I could test him out with the Turles Domain and the Wicked Bloodline Terrifying Conquerors setup, because I do enjoy running that team a little bit more. So, all right. With that said, guys, that's it for our video. That is our showcase for the LR Fizz Cooler. If you like the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And in the comments down below, let us know what do you think of LR Fizz Cooler's EZA? Is it good enough? Do you feel like they hold it back? Or do you think we've finally broken the worldwide EZA curse? All right, let us know in the comments down below. Otherwise, guys, as always, thanks for watching. And aloha.